Hey, what's up, everybody? Gotta adjust the old headphones here. Oh, wow. What a week. What a week. Let me get situated here. Alright. Wait on a couple people to trickle on in here. And then we will get started. Alright. You were live. Why does my stream quality say it's in the yellow? That's weird. Okay. Do. Okay. Still getting stuff set up here. Alright. Okay. Cool. Alright, how has everyone's week been? I know mine has been absolutely bonkers, like slam-packed full of stuff, but that's alright. It makes the time go by, and it's all over with. So now I get to glide into my weekend. Still have a pretty busy weekend, but it's alright. While we wait on some people to come on in here, get some music started. Alright. So I don't want to cover up a bunch of stuff. That would be bad. So yeah, we're going to be doing a little bit of CAD design tonight. I decided to take a break off of Twitch, stream on YouTube, and yeah, we're going to make some stuff. I did this like probably 2-3 weeks back, just like a little something, but I decided I wanted to try this out, see if this is something that I would do more in the future. I don't know, no idea. But this like crazy looking contraption right back here is actually so I can stream drawing on this pad, because part of CAD design is not just putting it in the computer, but there is a little bit of analog aspect to it. I prefer doing a mixture of drawing and designing. I find it's easier to sketch everything, come up with like a rough draft, and then put it in the computer. Because once you get so far in the CAD, it's a lot harder to kind of backtrack. Not impossible, but if you get your rough of what you're going to be doing down first, it's a little bit easier once you get it up here. But I am going to be designing in Fusion 360. This is not a cheap program, not by any means. But there are free services. Google SketchUp is one, and then there's also a couple other ones. I can't quite remember. But if you do a Google on like free 3D design or free CAD, I think there's even one called FreeCAD or Tinkercad or something like that. Those are great programs to get your feet wet. I started on Google SketchUp, so. And it is always good, if you're interested in this sort of thing, to mess with it and get familiar with like the general terminology. A lot of it transfers from one program to the other, so it's good to know. Good to know. I started out Google SketchUp, and then I went to Autodesk Inventor, then AutoCAD, and then Fusion 360. And Fusion 360 is by far the easiest just to pick up and run with it. It's pretty intuitive. I mean, it's really not all that complicated. Sorry if I'm a little hoarse. Oh man, I don't know if I'm fighting off getting sick or what it is. I better not be getting sick, because ain't nobody got time for that. But anyway, so what your general design space is gonna look like is, oops, I am on the wrong thing. Here we go. I need to click here. Alright, so this is going to be your general design space. I'm not sure exactly what the terminology of it is, but this is basically just your plane that you're going to be designing on. You can do general sketch things, you can create shapes, you can modify and, add fillets or chamfers or anything like that. You can joint different components together. If you do something, you can measure it. I mean, there really is a lot that you can do here. You're kind of limited by some of the feature set, but with this program, you can also do stuff like patchwork, sheet metal. You can render your objects to kind of give your customer or designer like a vision of what you're trying to build. And I do have to admit, the renders do come out really freaking good. Also, there's animation, simulation. You can do your CAM, which is basically what tells the CNC machine and stuff like that to how to operate. Also, there's drawings, so if you want to do technical like PDF drawings, you can. But like I said, what we're going to start on is actually over here, so why don't I transfer to the drawing pad. Now, the audio is probably going to be a little bit different over here. The microphone's kind of far away, but I think you're going to be able to kind of tell what I'm trying to accomplish here. So, what we're going to be designing is a ITX chassis or ITX case. So, with ITX, this is your basic small form factor computer. So with this, we're going to be able to have a small yet possibly powerful system. So kind of what I want to accomplish here are a few main points. So first and foremost, the design has to be water cooling friendly, because after all, we are enthusiasts around here. It also needs to be modular. So I want to be able to flat pack this. So basically, when it's all designed out, all manufactured, the customer gets a flat package. It makes it a lot easier, a lot cheaper to ship. And I want it to be a simple design. So I'm a fan of understated things. I like it very simple, but not so simple that it seems too rudimentary and just like designless, like there was no thought behind it. I am a fan of form and function. So I believe that you can have your cake and eat it too with design. Like, it doesn't need to be cookie cutter, but it can be simple enough to where it's modifiable, different things can be designed in the future, upgrades, you know. ITX may not have the same screw pattern forever, so it's important to design your product to be able to be expandable in the future. So, with that being said, most cases you just kind of have like your basic square, like no frills design. So a lot of people tend to mess up when they start these things because they design from the outside in. However, I want to design from the inside out because I feel like in order to maintain the smallest footprint possible but pack it full of the features it needs to be designed from the inside out. So basically what's going to be on the inside is, this is the motherboard tray here. So we have a basic square. Alright, nothing really fancy there. Don't know if you can see that very well, so let me try to dim this light down. There we go. Maybe you can see that. So anyway, this is your motherboard tray. Mobo tray. So, this is kind of top looking down. So, most motherboard trays in like an ATX form factor, you have your motherboard here, and then probably down here you have your power supply, and then over here you're gonna have room for possibly rad and fan. So these are bigger cases. However, what we're working with is on a smaller scale. So what we need is probably something like this, and the ITX motherboard is actually going to take up a majority of the tray. After all, this is a small form factor, and that's kind of the goal of it. You want to pack a punch, and you want to pack it small. So our video card would go something like here, because video cards are freaking ginormous now. We have a CPU somewhere in the middle here, and you can quickly see how we would run out of space. So that's not even including the power supply. So I think in order to do this in the most effective way possible, I want to be able to use full-size parts. I don't want to be limited to only using SFX or like small form factor power supplies. I want to be able to put full-size equipment in here if need be. I would rather sell an option to run an SFX power supply and make room for stuff like maybe a mechanical drive or something. Like if I subtract function, I want to be able to add functionality, if that makes sense. So with that being said, if we look at the back side of our case, just label that back. So essentially I want a split design. I want to be able to house the PSU here, and then have the motherboard tray with like IO shield, and then again, this is not the scale, this is just a rough copy. This is to kind of help you iron out your details that you're gonna work in later. So there's IO. I don't think, I mean, we may be able to add a fan in here, but I feel like it's really gonna add to the width of things. But again, small form factor, maybe we do want to be able to include like a 120mm fan. And then this is your I/O, and here is your expansion card. So again, like I hope this is starting to kind of make sense when I design PC hardware, like some of the streams I've done in the past where I've kind of, you know, chopped the video and brought it along. Most of the time this sort of stuff is already done. So we have the back, we have like the top view of kind of how things are gonna look. I'm not really liking this top design, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark that out. So we have our motherboard, our CPU, and then our GPU, which is gonna be gigantic. So if we want to keep this water cooling friendly, I really want to be able to maybe put a radiator at the top of the case or in the front of the case. I don't know. So that's going to take a little bit of thought process. So we know our power supply is going on the back. So that gives us all this room back here. So possibly we could even isolate the heat of the chassis coming from, you know, these components and stuff. Instead of putting a radiator in the front here, maybe we could put a 120mm hole here, or even on the front side of the case. Have it designed where maybe we can put a... See if I can do this without totally butchering everything. Maybe we can do something like this and then have fans here and radiator here. So what we would actually be doing is mounting our pump and res on the back side, and then having a very simple like tubing run. Like we can come out from the bottom underneath here, and then from there we can go like into the CPU, and then maybe something like that, have a bulkhead here and here, and then we're pumping all of the warm liquid into a separate compartment, since this will be split here. And then with the 240mm radiator here in the front, we can kind of slimline this. So maybe instead of having that much space in the front, maybe we can like just fit 2 fans here, if that's making any sense. So essentially what we would be looking at is, it would be a cube style chassis. See if I can draw this a little bit neater. So our 2 fans would actually come fairly close to the edge there. Our radiator would come fairly close to the edge here. And then we would run as thin as possible down the center. This mounting hole, mounting hole. And I am by no means an artist. But anyway, so maybe we can do something kind of like this. It would be a wider chassis, but we would probably also be able to make it shorter as well. So even though it's kind of wide, I mean, honestly, it'll be less than like an Air 540 from Corsair, but it would probably be smaller than like trying to think of words here, but they're escaping me. Anyway, and then when we look at the top side of things, so we have our motherboard tray. It's gonna come in here, slide all the way forward. I really want it to be able to butt up against the front of the case. One, that's gonna make this a lot more rigid. So basically, if it like fits in the slot over here in the front, that would be fantastic. The only thing is we would have to make sure that, you know, the slot's rubberized or something, otherwise the fan vibration will cause it to check. So we would have I/O coming down, our motherboard taking up a big chunk, and then we would have our CPU block sitting on the CPU, and then GPU would be looking something like that. And then over here we would have rad fans, and then we could do a pump res, and then over here we would have our ATX size power supply. I'm really liking how that's coming along. I feel like that would be a pretty good footprint. After all, if you're using this small of a system, I really wouldn't bother filling it with mechanical drives or something like that. M.2 storage has come down a lot in price, and a lot of times you'll find that even on ITX motherboards, you can still get NVMe storage and stuff like that installed. So I would rather have one big NVMe drive, or possibly like mounted on the back of the motherboard tray. We could include one or two like SSD, like 2.5-inch drives here on the back, and then that could give you more storage if you needed it. So on the front, now I'm wondering if so a lot of times with case design, your airflow kind of comes in the front and then either gets exhausted like this way out the top or this way through a rear fan. That's what we've got to consider, because ITX boards, where everything's so compact, you can run into heat issues with your power delivery. So we definitely want to make sure our stuff isn't going to overheat. So how can we do that? Because honestly, what I would love to be able to do is have glass here on the front with maybe like a standoff or something behind it, so it actually sits off of the case a little bit and then allows air to kind of come in through the sides, but you still get the nice look from the glass. Decisions. So let me think here. And if you have a computer at home, I found a lot of times it helps to kind of look at that and be able to judge how to build your system based off of that specification. Fortunately, I have a couple motherboards up here, so I would be able to see like, oh, okay, so ATX, it would be like this size over here, so like we would be gaining width, or we would be gaining room on the side of the motherboard, not going with an ATX or MATX motherboard, because those are probably like a solid 3 inches or so wider. So I think to start out, our best bet is probably going to be to start designing the motherboard tray and get an idea of what size that needs to be. And then essentially from there, I mean, we could fit it any number of ways. It doesn't have to run all the way to the front of the case. I mean, we could even go as far to like have a little bit of a wall here. Maybe you want to mount your pump res on this side of the motherboard. So we would have a longer chassis, but it wouldn't be as like critical to be as wide. We could also, again, kind of going vertical instead of horizontal, or not even horizontal, but width. We could include a mount kind of like what's on the BitPhoenix Prodigy. So maybe it would look something like, here's the back of the case, and then we have PSU, and then slightly above that we have our motherboard. And then that would give us room for an exhaust fan here. And then we could extend this out a little bit and have room for a thin rad, fans, and possibly even like a pump res combo. Again, that's a terrible representation, but we could potentially make this about as wide as an actual power supply, because most name brand power supplies now are modular. So we could get custom cables made, or we could, we could figure out ways to store those and wouldn't be bound to having a gigantically wide case. But again, I like the idea of just setting these up as separate compartments, and that way, like, most of our heat blows out this way. The power supply would help assist in blowing out the hot air out the back. We would probably also have a fan mounted here, so the power supply wouldn't solely be responsible for sucking out the hot air and blowing it out the back. We would also have another exhaust. So I'm leaning more towards this. I would rather have like a fatter case that we could possibly have like a gigantic like tempered glass window or something on and make it look really, really neat. So yeah, with that being said, I think now we can actually go over here to Fusion, now that we have kind of a general idea of what we want. So let me switch on back here. Alright, so now we can actually start modeling something. Again, I think it's just overall easier to kind of jot that stuff down on paper, get an idea of what you're working with, and then move from there. So what I'm going to be doing now is on a separate tab, I actually have Firefox with different dimensions that I need. I have my motherboard dimension, I have a fan dimension, I have radiator dimension. I mean, it's good to keep a tab open with these separate things. That way you'll be able to kind of reference them on the fly. So the first one we probably need to look at is this one right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and kind of bring it down here. And I love when drawings have not only the English, like measurements and stuff on it, but they also have metric as well. That's super handy. Way more handy than it probably sounds, but it's useful. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of face the front view here. So it appears, looking at this, that the average ITX motherboard is about, did they not include that measurement? So 6.25, and then you add another 2.5, so that's a quarter, so that's 6.5, and then you gotta add the 0.3 here. So 6.8 inches wide. Oops. Don't want to cancel that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and draw a center rectangle right here in the center. I'm just going to type in 6.8 and 6.8. And that is a motherboard. Good job, everybody. Stream over. Just kidding. So now we have something to kind of reference what the motherboard's going to take up as far as case size. Most of the time this PCI slot is right against the bottom here. Even if you look at the reference drawing, I mean, it's, whoops, don't need the downloader for Firefox. There we go. So even if you look down here, I mean, your PCI slot literally sits on the bottom. So we have to kind of take into account that. So we need probably another 3 inches or so from the bottom here. And that's just to clear the card. Now keep in mind, if you water cool your video card, you're gonna have fittings sitting there, so that's gonna add probably like another ½ inch or more. So we have to kind of think about it and say, alright, so your video card, even if you keep it air cooled, is gonna be about maybe that thick. If it's air cooled, we need a little bit of room there on the bottom for the card to be able to breathe. Also, we have to kind of keep into consideration, if you water cool, then you're going to need room for probably an elbow fitting or a straight fitting if people want to run a straight, and then 90 degree the tube running out of it. Oh me. So that complicates things a little bit. Not terrible, we can get through this. But I'm going to go ahead and take another center rectangle. Actually, I might have lied. I might have to... Yeah, I might have to do a 3-point on this one. Width. Okay, yeah. Alright, so if we want to install a radiator in the top, your average fan is going to be 25 millimeters wide, or 1 inch. So a lot of times your thin radiators are about a 30 millimeters. Some of the thicker ones are 45. And then you can even go crazy and get like 60 or 80 millimeter thick rads. Obviously, if someone's running an ITX system, they're not going to want the super thick ones. But I do want to take into consideration if somebody accidentally buys a 45 millimeter thick rad, they're not going to be completely screwed. So, with that being said, we have to take out, whoops, that's okay. There's probably one on my iPad here. Looking for a calculator. Wow, do I really not have a calculator? That's just absurd. Where are my apps? Okay. So I'm gonna cancel that. Use the good old built-in calculator. So if we take 45 and then add another 25, that's going to give us 70 millimeters. You probably want just the teensiest little bit more, so I'm going to say like 75. Alright. So, what we have to do is take 75, and we're actually gonna times that by 0.0934, and that's gonna give us just under 3 inches. So I'm wondering, for the sake of design, if I should just add 3 inches to the height of it. Probably add 3 inches to the bottom as well. So we're going to be extending this probably 6 inches. Nope, I don't want that one. So if we go 6.8 plus 6, we get 12.8. So that's going to be our height. Wait a minute, I'm so stupid. We're not adding 6 inches to both sides. Let's try that again. Curtis can't math on a Friday night. Don't try math, kids, not even once. So that would actually be 12.8. No, that's what I just did. 9.8. If I go 3 and 3, that's 6 plus 6.8, so 12.8. That doesn't look right. That's adding 6. Hang on, I'm having a massive brain fart right now. 6.8 plus 3 would be 9.8, and then, yeah, I'm right. Golly, don't ever second guess yourself, kids. Oh, man. Alright. Now we have our 12.8 height. We just need to figure out our width. So a lot of the cards, the video cards, can be like, I don't know, 13 inches or something crazy. So we definitely need to see what 13 inches looks like. So that's pretty wide, and you gotta take into consideration that that doesn't include fans, if you want fans on that side of the case. So I don't know, I feel like we need to do a little more scientific research. So let's open up this bad boy. We're actually going to go to newegg.com. Then we're gonna go look at some video cards. Wow, Firefox is kinda broken. It does not want to work. Alright, so say we like fall into the lottery. We need the biggest, most honkingest 2080 Ti graphics card we can find. Because we're big ballers, shot callers, and that sucker looks massive. So, specs. Yeah, this card is over 12 inches long. That's ridiculous. So if we say 13, I think we're going to be fairly safe. So we go here, go out to 13. Now, we need 13 times probably 3 inches in case we want to mount a radiator and fan on the front here. What we could also do is mount all of the cooling on this side, or at least be able to give people the option of it. Because one thing I do hate seeing is a lot of small form factor cases where you're actually like super limited on what you can even do. I want to be able to give modders like the ability to say, well, I want to add this or I want to add that. So one thing we can do, if we go 13, we add, if we can make it kind of a long skinny case, and then the power supply would just be hanging out in the back. That would also possibly give us room to run cables in case like you buy a power supply and you don't get custom cables. You would still be able to tidy them up. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm thinking that making it long so if we go 13 plus 3, so that would give us 16. I'm looking at my computer over here, just kind of debating on the best course of action. Because, I mean, I have the EK bracket, which brings the pump res combo about that far away. So we would have 16. I'm just gonna make it 18. That's what we're gonna do. Can I delete this line? Or is that... Haha, I can. Yeah, so we would have Gigantor video card over here. And then the possibility of pump res combos right there. Also, we could mount pump res combo over here. And if that's 18 inches, we could possibly even just put one 360 like up top. Ooh. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay. So let me... Oh, I won't take fractions. Dag nabbit. Where is my calculator? So we go 1 divided by 16. And that is 0.0625. Oh, 625. Symmetric, so it's on that axis. Alright. So that's the beginning of a motherboard tray. We made a rectangle. Also go back and reference this. And again, I'm not, that's just to kind of give me a reference point for the motherboard. I know it's probably not going to be that thick. Oop, I don't want that. What I could probably do is grab right here. Let me go 2, and then we said 13. Come on. Boom. Alright, so now we're kind of getting some reference points looking at what we're doing here. It's looking very nice. La-di-da-di-da. Hey, again, this is this is how I start a lot of my designs. Just like mocking stuff up and... Ooh, don't want to show that. Whoops. Alright. So what is the thickness? We have a 5. No way. Oh, that's like the actual height. It's like 5. Okay. That's not bad. So we actually figured on the high side a little bit at 6.5, which is fine. That'll give us additional clearance. But now we can kind of get an idea of what the width of the chassis is going to be. So let's go to the back side. And I'm going to look up ATX PSU dimensions. Alright. There we go. So it looks like it's going to be about 86 millimeters wide and 140 long. So if we go 86 times 0.0394, that's roughly 3.39 inches. And then let me go calculator, because this is going to help me. Get down there. Okay. So if we go 140 times 0.0394, we get just over 5.5 long. So let me grab this. We're gonna go on the back side. I'm gonna come up just a little bit. And then we go 5.516, and this is going to be 3.388. And how much did Firefox say? So we have that. So it's going to be 140 by 86 by 150. So one of those measurements is wrong. So this one is actually This one's actually 5.91. This one's actually 5.516. And then it comes out 3.388. Okay, so we got our motherboard, we got the video card, we got the power supply. Essentially, our width is going to be just past this and just past this. So how far are we currently? Roughly 10 inches wide, which isn't bad. That's not bad at all. However, that's not actually going to be the width, because we also have to factor in being able to put in a 120 millimeter fan here, as well as pump and all of that, which will fit inside the confines of that fan. So I'm going to do... Let's actually pull up Firefox here. Where is... There it is. So 278.5 plus 14 plus 36. Oh, not 369. Dang it. Alright, 278.5 plus 14 plus 36 equals. Okay. So length is going to be 328.5. What? No. 75 millimeters by 328.5 millimeters. So radiator is probably gonna sit, let me see, how wide is our radiator? Width is 130. 130 millimeters. Okay. So with radiators and fans, this is kind of the thickness we can expect. We still have plenty of room to be able to mount our pump res combo here, and quite honestly, definitely room for some SSDs. Now it's looking like, however, if you kind of glance at it like this, we don't have a lot of room to mount a pump res on the other side. That's fine. I mean, we could even go ham and flip the case on its face and actually install a res up here. You can install a mini one in the front. I mean, we have some possibilities. Or let me check this real quick. Got 360 millimeter radiator dimensions. Dustin. Oh man, I didn't even. Hey, there we go. My spank bank is being refilled faster than normal. Good talk. Sorry about that, Dustin. I didn't even see the comments over here on the side. Oh me. How you doing, buddy? Not trying to ignore you, I promise. I would never ignore you. Ever. Not even in a fire. Alright. So we need to know how long our 360 millimeter rad is. So 398.5 plus looks like 14. So 412.5. All right. We'll go 2 point on this as well. And I kind of want to see what it would be coming down from that way. So if we go 412.5 millimeters by 75 millimeter, oh, that's not right. 412.5 millimeters tab by 75 millimeters. And let's pull that back up, see how wide we need to be. Again, 130. Whoops. Got me. Dang it. There we go. No, what are you doing? Stop it. Stop it. Get help. There we go. So 130 millimeters. Alright, that is not a lot of room or clearance. I mean, considering that's rad and fans, that's really not terrible. The only thing is we're actually going to have IO sticking up right there. So I think this would have to kind of move out. So let me go here. This is a new body. So now we can kind of grab this and say, well, we want to kind of move it well out of the way of IO. So let's go with, most radiators try to kind of put it towards the edge of the case and like offset it. Let me figure out how far we are over here first, because I don't want to explore this option if it's going to limit us too much. So, let me... We're going to measure from this point. Whoops. That's not right. We're going to measure this line. Stop it. Stop it. There we go. So we're sitting roughly 6.5. So, I mean, this is still gonna be pretty freaking wide. Let me do some maths. So 6 point, oh, that's not right. 6.5 times 25.4, convert that to millimeters. And then we subtract 130. We'll divide that by 2. So let me try and see what this looks like. We'll take this radiator. We're gonna move it 17.55 millimeters. And then we've still got plenty of room over here. So what I'm thinking is we'll split the difference here and put the radiator kind of in the middle. So how wide was this? It also normally helps if on your little notepad, if you write this stuff down, just for quick reference. So let me go with another calculator. Alright. So we have 18 times 25.4, convert that to millimeters. Then we go minus 412.5. So that's going to give us 44. Alright. So let's take this and we're going to move it 22.35 millimeters. My dogs are barking outside. So that may give us the clearance we need. I'm still not convinced. And if we put 220 millimeter fans on the front here, we wouldn't be able to mount this radiator here. Because I mean, that's a 240 right there. I mean, we have the teeniest little bit of room on the bottom, but I just don't like that. But I've got to have that height. So that's going to be a lot of dead empty space up at the top. Oh, decisions. Alright. So what I can do... How much does the IO plate come up? So So my guess, so just shy of 2 inches. It's at 44 millimeters. So if it comes up just shy of 2 inches there, I may have to offset this rad a little bit more. Actually, I definitely will. Because it's not going to be sitting perfectly at 6.5 up against the edge there. So if I go out like 7 inches on this side, because I mean the graphics card's going to be roughly like 5.5, plus if you have a water cooling block, the terminal for the actual like input and output of the coolant is going to stick out maybe another inch or so. So if I go like 7, that should give me enough room there. Let me delete that movement. So what I should probably do is some more math. So go 130 for the width. Actually, nope. 7 times 25.4, convert it to millimeters. It's 177.8. We'll go minus 130. That's going to give us 47.8. And then I should probably move it 3/4 of the way over. Instead of like splitting it in half, move it like 3/4 of the way, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So let me divide that by 4. And then we're going to times that by 3. Yeah, I think that's going to work perfect. So that'll be 35.85 millimeters. Oh yeah, that'll give us plenty clearance for the IO. Definitely. Alright. So now that's sitting pretty in the middle. What was... Make that a new body. I need to know the difference between here and here. There. And there. So we got 0.194 times 25.4. Divide that by 2. We need to move this down almost 2.5 millimeters. Whoa. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna choose that, and we're gonna go minus 2.46 millimeters. Boom. So now that's in the middle. All right. So it's coming along. We're making a little bit of headway. I really want this to mount against the back, and I think the fan should probably go on this side. And again, the extra width, as air moves through the front, it would be able to be sucked in through that power supply fan and moved out the back, as well as adding another 140 millimeter or 120 millimeter fan here. So that would be still not as much width as that rad is. So if we're 7 inches out this way, probably another 3 or so over here. Actually, probably more than 3. Way more than 3. Okay. See, I feel like that could still work though. Because we could just do... I mean, this is way freaking overkill for an ITX rig. I mean, you have a 240 here. You have a 360 there for a CPU and a GPU. Like, the 240 alone could handle that. But I'm trying to think, in worst case scenario, somebody fully kits one of these out. I think this is still plenty room to be able to mount like a reservoir right beside the motherboard tray. I mean, just like boom, right there. And then if you didn't want to mount it there, you could most certainly mount it on the backside on this rad. I mean, there's so much room for activities over here. And cables and SSDs. And then you could be like power 24 pin here, 8 pin. Will kind of come from there, circle around, and boop, plug into there. Oh yeah, this is starting to come along good. Like this would be a nasty little rig. Like with that much cooling efficiency, like you could put your fans on almost 0 and it would still cool the system just fine. I mean, you could even go ham and add in your RAM. I mean, you could, if they had like a mono block for the ITX, you could do that. And then you would be cooling your VRM, power delivery, CPU. Okay. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. And even if you have an air-cooled card, you still have plenty of room down here for ventilation. Cool. The only thing I could see being tricky is running your cooling in between the 2 compartments. So being able to tie in this rad to this rad. I mean, really, if you wanted to, you could almost run this in parallel. Where you would have one fitting come... let me do it this way so I can kind of explain that better. So you would have 2 fittings, say down here. You could have this one run up, tie into the inlet of the pump reservoir. You would have the out, the pump come down. Run it across here, boom. Go through there with the bulkhead. Underneath here, come out, go into the video card. Tie I mean, you could like T-fitting, come out with both, go into the CPU with both, come out of the CPU, go into the rad with both, and then have your out come down over through another bulkhead and then into this radiator. The only thing is, I would probably go DDC with my pump at that point, just because you would want the extra head pressure of a DDC, because that's a lot of radiator, which doesn't restrict flow too bad. But I mean, if you're running parallel, I don't know. I would have to kind of seek advice on that one, because parallel is more efficient for your pump. The only thing is you would probably have to have the speed a little bit higher to be able to get the necessary flow, and then you would run into like audible noise. I don't think that's going to be quite enough room for... I mean, I need 25 millimeters at least in between that point and this point. Alright, what was the second move? Was this? Nope, reverse that. Second move was that. Okay, good. So I need to reference that. So we go 398.5 plus 14, and then 18 times 25.4 to make it millimeters. We go minus 412.5. That gives us a difference of 44.7. Divide that by 4. So we need to move. We need to move this way 11.175 millimeters. So that gets us back off here a little bit. Our fitting could come down here or over here, and that'd be a little bit closer to the CPU. So that might work. So we have motherboard, video card, top rad, side rad, power supply, and then the motherboard tray. That's starting to come along. Now the burning question. Can I get 25 millimeters up this way? So this would be... What's the dimension of the fan again? It's not 100. Oh, it actually is 120. Okay. Good to know. So we have 120 millimeters. Yeah, so we would actually now have fan clearance. I mean, it would be kind of counterintuitive because you have radiator and fan, and then you have two fans. But luckily with that mount, I mean, you could even mount your pump res over here if you didn't want it back there, to be able to like show off your coolant and stuff a little bit more. But it's nice knowing that if for whatever reason somebody wanted to install fans here with fans and a rad right there, they could. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, personally, if it were me, I'd probably run a push configuration with air coming down here and then kind of coming out the back through an exhaust fan there. But let's see. So if that comes out 7 inches, so 7 times 25.4. Is that right? 7 times 25.4. Huh, I guess it is. And then we go minus 120. Divide that by 2. Okay. Need to make that a new body. That needs to move 28.9 millimeters. Yeah. I mean, we could just make this case freaking 14 inches wide. I mean, that's... It's almost 12 inch, a little over 12 inches wide now. I mean, that's not very ITX. But, I mean, if we're making something fairly modular and customizable, it's whatever. I have a feeling this is going to end up being roughly the size of an Air 240 from Corsair, because it's got this compartment on the back. I mean, truth be told, if we really wanted to, we could add room for a 240 back here. I think it'd be pretty sick to kind of leave the front open so you can see, because most computers are going to sit kind of like this. Well, not like that, like this on your table. So I mean, you would be able to partially see through here, see the big glass window there. Okay, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and save though, just in case something crazy like the power goes out. You can see that offset I'm talking about, most manufacturers do, where it doesn't sit perfectly in the middle. This is in the middle of that compartment, so there's going to be this much space over here. Okay. Man, this is actually going to be a really cool little system. Alright. So we have cable mess room here, we have pump res room there if we desire. I mean, we could probably even squeeze pump res in here if you want to try to keep as much room over here as possible. So say like you do want to run actual. That's super distracting. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So say if you wanted to run mechanical drives on this side, you would be able to have room, and like maybe we could have some pre-drilled screw holes or something. So that way you would just be able to get the mounting bracket and mount like, you could probably put 2 drives, 1, 2, 3, you could probably put like 4 to 6 drive, like mechanical drives in that space. I mean, it would be kind of cool too to be able to see like mounting cage and maybe like drive rack through that glass panel as well. So I don't know, maybe. Again, I'm planning on having glass in the front, but who knows. Alright. Let's take a look here. Honestly, this would probably sit up just a little bit more, this video card. We have a power supply. That would be sitting up against that. This side panel I would probably ventilate on the side. So that way it would be able to pull cool air from the outside as well as the warm air and exhaust it out the back. Or I don't know, I may just leave it solid, depending. What would be pretty awesome though is if you so choose, you could take and put fans on the front of here and then also be able to mount hard drives here. So that way you would be able to cool your storage arrays. That's a possibility. Again, this is not going to be a very small ITX case. One thing I'm toying with is the idea of also having a handle on the top of it, so like you would be able to carry it to LAN parties. The only thing that's kind of scaring me away from that idea is just where, I mean, if you water cool it, this thing's going to be so heavy. Like, it's pretty unreal how hefty computers become once you water cool. Alright. Go ahead and hide my sketches. I guess one thing we could do is go ahead and mount or get holes put in that back plate. Well, I don't know. I think I'd rather wait until we actually get this portion done. Because what I would like to be able to do is have a tab here, and or something, so that way the back plate would screw onto the motherboard tray and then make like an L-shaped panel. So we have 12.8 by 18. Well then. I'm wondering if we need to go back to the pad over here. Kind of think up how we could do this. Because I don't know if that would be rigid enough, just including little tabs. Yeah, this whole modularity and being able to like flat pack these things, that's definitely gonna be interesting. So essentially this thing's gonna fit in a wide open slot here in the back. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Case Labs, but that's kind of where I got the inspiration, because their cases shipped to you in a flat box and you assembled everything. What's up, RJ? How you doing, buddy? Alright. Doing a little design work. I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but I'm making a computer case. But in order to make the case, I gotta know how big the components are. So that way I can kind of like play around with measurements, like this is the motherboard, this is a fan and radiator, that's a video card. So right now, I'm just at that point where you kind of stare at your project and just try to visualize every detail. And try to think of it from a different point of view. Like, I would build it a certain way, but other people may not. Doing good, bro, and yourself? And hell no, I don't. It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, this is just something I do on a daily basis with my 9 to 5. And it's kind of fun. I like making stuff. Just gives me an excuse to be a little creative. Alright. So, yeah, I think I'm at that point where I gotta go back to the literal drawing board. So, let me exit out of some of these little windows here. Alright. So. Alright. This was kind of the layout when we got everything started. We'll flip the page. Alright, clean slate. So, first things first, we have our kind of general shape of our motherboard tray. So we know video card comes out somewhere roughly in there. Behind it is the motherboard. And then y'all didn't know it was Arts and Crafts Day, did you? And then this is gonna extend like that. Alright, so this is the front. So if you're looking at the computer head on, this is what you, or side on, this is what you would see. So what I have to consider, this. We're gonna draw our little sticks of RAM. video card, fan. Alright. Let's see. So essentially, the way this is probably going to need to be built, if you're looking at it from the top, is there's going to be a piece of metal, and it's going to screw into the top portion of this little tray. So there's gonna have to be tabs. I think that's the only way this is actually gonna fit together. So maybe if I do a mixture, do a tab kind of like that. So this piece right here is this piece on the motherboard tray. So essentially, motherboard goes here, CPU, and then the graphics card sits down there. Again, this probably looks like the biggest mess of jumbled sketches ever, but that's okay. That's kind of the point of it. You rough draft everything and then design it. So if this is this piece, which I'll label 1, this is 1, tray is 2, I would probably have to design little tabs, say like right here, and then these tabs will go right here and right here. And what that's gonna do is when you mate the two pieces together, instead of just having one mounting point where this piece only mounts to here, it's gonna allow it to kind of flex like that. So if we do it on both, it'll actually make it a little bit more rigid, and it won't want to try to crease or fold. So if I go back to the CAD software,
alright. So I can actually go and hide some of these. What in the world? Oh, that's why I couldn't. Okay. Alright, so this is our original sketch. What I need to do is actually pull the mounting hole measurements off of here and actually apply it to the tray. So I'm going to kind of minimize that a little bit, keep it down here. And how we're going to accomplish this is a bunch of little lines. So the first one comes over 0.25. And goes down 0.40. I really hate how they measured this because you have to do a whole bunch of extra math. Alright, so
so those holes actually line up. So what I'm just gonna do is that was sitting flush there. So now I can take this line. We're gonna go over 6.20. Then we're gonna go up. See, now why they do it like that? That doesn't make a lick of sense. So 6.20. And then is this even right? That's freaking backwards. They had this wrong. Dang it, man. Alright, we're gonna do this again. So that actually comes over so from the bottom over 0.4, and then it goes up 0.25, and then goes over 6.10 inches. Oh, that's not right. There we go. Alright. This has got to go 6.20. And then 0.90. This is going to be 620. Okay. And then point. All right. Now I'm going to create some holes here, 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 and here. 3.16. That's not right. 3.96 millimeters. What? Oh, that's the height. I don't want the height, I want the width. So 0.16, boom. Distance. Let's see. Huh. Let's see. Only problem is now I can't. Haha, I can't. Good. So that gives us our holes there. Now we just need flip. Whatever. That'll work. Cool. So now we got our motherboard holes kind of drilled out in our plate here. So now we can start looking at our mounting tabs. Actually, I need to go back to this set of holes because we are actually going to tap these. So now we have them tapped to what a standoff would be. So that'll just thread straight into there. Alright. Let me go. don't know what holes that I should put through next. So what I'm thinking is I probably need to go ahead and put like the SSD mount in the side of it, but again, I'm not really sure. I mean, 2 could easily mount over here. I'm thinking long ways. But I'm not really sure. That's a good thing about design. Like, you get to kind of weigh things out and place things and just see where the best fit would be. So I should probably make I mean, nothing's really bolting other than the motherboard. Nothing's really bolting to the tray. And I want to be able to leave if someone wants to put a bulkhead fitting or something like that. I really want to be able to just leave that up to the design of whoever purchases the case. So, because each thing is going to be so different. I mean, video cards may be shorter, fittings may not line up in the same spots. I mean, it really is just kind of up in the air. I mean, what would be kind of dope and help with the flat packing ability? Well, no, that wouldn't really help with flat packing. I was gonna say that this front piece here should bolt to the motherboard tray and just be like an L bracket for the fans that are at the mount on, but an L bracket's not gonna pack very flat. So I would rather just have like an actual front panel with the little channel for this thing to fit in, like a little groove, just to kind of like fit in there nice and snug. I would rather have that. That would probably pack better than an actual like elbow bracket. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and put like 2 SSD mounts like right here. I mean, you could even go ham and probably put in 3 1/4 like holes on the bottom. Well, no, you don't really want to. Well, I guess you could. You could just have standoffs that thread into the bottom holes of like a mechanical hard drive and like stand it off from the tray. And yeah, just like hand tighten them in there, and then you would be able to like hold it up to the actual motherboard tray and screw it in from the other side. And that would probably hold it in pretty well. Same thing with SSDs. And the good thing about that is you wouldn't have a tray like kind of extruding out from the motherboard tray here. Kind of like this radiator fan combo. You wouldn't have a cage for hard drives to go in. but you would have the mounting points there, and a screw is going to sit really, really flat on the other side here. So I think that may be the best bet. Is just like screw standoffs into the actual hard drives and just like mount it up there and screw it from the other side. That may work really well. I do want to leave plenty of room here to like bunch up cables. But I feel like too, even if you installed something over here, and this radiator fan combo is gonna move this way a little bit. So what I may do is just like another 7 inches and just have it sit kind of like that over here. Let me look up what the SSD mounting hole dimensions. Yeah, that's what we need. And again, this is going to be pretty uniform across the board. If it'll load. I don't think that's going to load. Come on, Google. Oh, that's a pretty cool looking case. Alright, I guess that's not gonna work. So, we'll just have to reference this teeny little thing here. So it looks like it's about almost 62 millimeters by... Again, why would you do the drawing like this? So 90 minus 14. Yeah, this is the drawing I want. Just kidding. No, it's freaking not. I'm lazy. I don't want to look up. I don't want to do a bunch of math, but it looks like I'm gonna have to. Alright, let me extend that out a little bit here. So, the overall length, like long ways of an SSD, is almost 4 1/4 inches. Plus, you're going to have the SATA connector. So SATA connector should probably go down here. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and space this out a little bit. I don't think I'm gonna go quite as far as I did with this, but I think I should space it just a little bit. So, where is my calculator? I closed it out. So 7. Do I want to do 7? I'm just gonna go with a 1/2 inch times 25.4 to convert it over to millimeters. So minus 12.7 millimeters. Okay, and the great thing about this is now I can take this and hide it, and we can mount these SSDs wherever in the heck we want. So I think to try to play around with things, I'm just gonna make one the same dimensions So 3.957 by 2 3/4. And these things are how thick? 0.276. And I want this as a new body. So now we have a fancy schmancy SSD. So we could mount it, say like boom, 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 boom. So let me go 1, 2, 3. So we could fit it almost 4 wide right there. I'm wondering if we should even do that. Because I'm trying to think of cable routing, and I mean, you're going to have a SATA cable and a power SATA cable, like power and data running to each one. Like, that's 2 cables per, so we're going to have 8 freaking cables just like sprayed out along the side here. So I'm not a big fan of that. So I think what I'm going to do, rotate it 90 degrees, and we'll just put it like or should we put it there? Decisions, man. Yeah, maybe like boom and boom. Just have 2 on the bottom right there. Okay. So I think what I need to do now is kind of get a sketch going. Let's go 1.5 inches up. Yeah, we'll go 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Seriously? Oh, I know why, because I didn't include a point. Whoops, wrong one. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. So yeah, just roughly right there. Alright, so if that's gonna be the corner, dang it. Alright. Let's see here. So that's got to come. .6 millimeters in. Okay. And then this has to come 61.71 millimeters. so dumb. Why'd they do it like this? So it's got to be 90.6 millimeters minus 14. So that's 76.6 millimeters. .6 millimeters. Boom. All right. Crap. There we go. That's fine. So 76.6. Crap. .6 millimeters. And then, ooh, there we go. Go here. 76.6 millimeters. Cool. So there's our SSD mounts. So I could put a point there, there, there. There, and there. Cool. Alright, does this tell me the screw pitch? So it's a M3. Okay, so if I make all of these 3 millimeter. Boom. Now we have SSD mounts. So those are through holes. So what that would allow us to do is be able to, where'd it go? Take M3 standoffs and put them in the bottom holes of the SSD, and then we would be able to, with the standoffs, stick that up against that motherboard plate with these holes drilled out and just run an M3 screw directly into the standoff, thus bolting the SSD to the motherboard tray. Now some of you may be wondering, why even have the standoff? Well, some of the SATA power cables come with the majority of them being like elbow shaped. So instead of a straight connector, which would just plug in if it was mounted flat, you have to have a little bit of room so that way that elbow connector and the cable both will clear the motherboard tray. The option's still there. If you have all flat cables, you can go ahead and just mount it flat. I probably would include standoffs in the kit just because, like, probably most cases people would have to do it with the standoffs. I have done this in the past with other builds, so that's why I kind of had that thought in my head. Alright. Whoops. Wrong one. There we go. Alright, let's hide all the sketches. So yeah, our little plate is filling up here. It's starting to actually look like a motherboard tray. Be sure to save our progress. So yeah, now we have hard drive mounting if we can't, you know, put NVMe drives or M.2 drives in our motherboard. Now we have the option of having external drives. Like I said, if you're going this high end to where you would be water cooling the crap out of your rig, you probably have the budget for SSD. So I think I'm just gonna leave mechanical drives out of the equation. Okay. Motherboard tray is looking dope. Still wondering how I can mount that PCI bracket tray and stuff. I also have to have some sort of slot cut out in the tray because most video cards have like little fingers right here that come down and actually slide into the motherboard tray. So yeah, I gotta figure that out. That's gonna be an interesting thing to try to work into the design. I know it doesn't look like we've made much progress, but I promise, like, we're making headway here. Like I said at the very start of this stream, especially with something like a computer case, you've kind of got to design from the inside out. Good deal. And I think I'm gonna make this out of aluminum. One, because it's the cheapest material, and 1/16 inch thick is actually a pretty common size, and that's actually going to be a fairly substantial computer case. I mean, that's 16th inch is probably overkill. But, I mean, it's not engineered unless it's over-engineered, am I right? So, alright here. I just gotta figure out what to mount next. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead, add all the components back except for the little SSD. I don't need him anymore. Again, these front fans, front radiator, that's probably going to be the front panel that mounts to. Once we get to that point, the top panel is going to be where this guy mounts to. This, ooh, I could do it all one piece. That's an idea. This back panel, because the power supply is going to have to mount to it. The IO shield is going to be like cut out of it. So is the video card PCI slots. So that could be one solid piece. Yeah, I'm liking that. Top panel piece, probably gonna have it where you can add 1 or 2 fans here. Probably not a 360 rad. Then again, I don't know, maybe. I mean, it would be nice to be able to just kind of like, people can make it sleeper if they want, where all the water cooling gear is actually mounted in the back compartment and then you just have tubes. Like, that would look pretty sick. Just have like some fans here and just like your tubes run over and boom, one goes there, through a bulkhead, down here, same thing. That would look really cool. Not to mention, with the way this front panel is going to be set up, you could honestly probably run dual loops. Have one reservoir here, one reservoir there, and then you could have like your GPU on this loop and then your CPU on here, run different color coolants, and then you could do like, say it's like contrasting colors like red and blue. You could have your red coolant here, your blue coolant here. When you look at the front of your computer, your blue coolant would be like in this reservoir tube peeking through the front glass there, and then the blue or the other color would be right there. That would look pretty cool. Yeah, I'm liking that. That's a pretty sick idea. So I think next thing we'll have to do is actually cut out holes for the grommets, so that way our cables can run through here. Yep, I think that's what we're gonna have to do. Which luckily we can just kind of eyeball these. Like, they don't have to be dead on, like accurate like these mounting holes had to be. You can just kind of look at it and just ballpark it. It'd be fine. So we're gonna create an ellipse. Do I need a 4-inch freaking grommet? Maybe just like a 3.5. Oh, hello. Can I move this? Aha, I can. That's sick. Oh, it's a floof. Being attacked by vicious dogs. Okay. You wanna come see what I'm working on? What's wrong? You don't want to be on screen? So, this is the start of a computer case. So we have the back motherboard tray. This is like fans and radiators, kind of like what's in mine. These are fans, this is the video card, the motherboard. Go to the back side, more fans and radiators, power supply. I added little holes to mount hard drives, mount the motherboard. Now I'm making the grommet holes, so that way you can run your cables through. And I have a fancy little webcam set up, pointing down, so that way I can draw on the pad. Yeah. I'm crafty. We crafty. I do kind of want to redo that sketch. That's a really bad sketch. Can I not fix that? I guess not. I'm gonna try it again. Not much longer. Yeah. Yeah, it won't be much longer. Let's see, 2.5. Love you, honey. Alright, let's situate that out a little bit. I'm gonna do one there. Can I copy and paste this? Haha, I can. And then I'm gonna do one there. Crazy motorcycles. Probably put one around about there. Boop. Where is my power supply? Oh geez, I messed it up. There we go. And again, these holes can always change. Like this is, honestly, this is more of a placeholder hole right now. Just because, like, gives me an idea where cables are going. So the reason I did two right here is you have your 24 pin and then you have your SATA cables for the SSDs. And then down here, this would be for like the GPU power connectors. So let me... I don't think I added enough. So I gotta also add... Whoops. Dang it. Boop. Okay. So I'll just manually do this one. So what was that? 2.5 by 0.75. Wait. 0 degrees. 2.5 by 0.75. And we want to move this up a little bit. So if we have fans, we can mount the fan wires through there. We could mount our 8-pin EPS cable, something like that. Hide all our sketches and save. And look at that, boys and girls. It's starting to actually come together and look like we could possibly maybe build something out of this. What I might do here as well is, well, I feel like if somebody was to add mounting holes here, they would probably want to drill it themselves. And I'm not saying that to be lazy, but not all video cards are going to be this long. People may not have fans here. They may have a short video card and rad and fans and want to mount it against this back plate. So they're probably going to want to mount it pretty symmetrical in between the video card and whatever's installed over here. I feel like if I put in pump mounts on this plate, it's gonna kind of force their hand or leave extra holes that they're not gonna use. I would rather them drill the holes that they're gonna use. It's aluminum, it's super easy to drill. If people are assembling this, I've got to account for people are gonna mod it too. I'm just giving them like the blank canvas. That's partially why this is going to be such a simple design as well. Mainly just because I don't want to force anyone's hand like on their design for their rig. Like I want to be able to just like hand them this, and then like who knows down the line, like people pick up the case, like they can mod it and just make it really cool, really unique to them. Yeah, that's starting to look good. Cool. Save that. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Haha. There we go. Okay, good. I didn't screw anything up too bad. Oh, me. Alright. I think that's probably where I'm gonna call it a night. I'm starting to get pretty tired, pretty raspy. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I do enjoy making these things, and I might start doing this. Who knows? Maybe like one of the streams out of the week. I can just do it here on YouTube to make sure I'm still giving you guys love. You're not just getting my Twitch streams. I am going to actually be filming content and stuff, so the channel's not just dying off and disappearing. I've actually got some really cool stuff lined up for September and possibly spring of 2020, and like the channel's got a future. So anyway, thank you all for sticking around, hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you all in the next video. See ya.